this one.
Она вам дает это.
Two heads together. Are they male and female?
Yes. Они женская и мужская голова.
Где?
Здесь.
Мать и ребенок.
No, mother and child. It looks like that, yeah.
Looks like it does. It's amazing. It was so hard to do this.
Even the oval of the
It has
face.
resemblance to the line.
Это так тяжело сделать. Способ просто одной линии. Вам это удалось. Очень похоже. Мне очень нравится.
So, I have to give him something.
Она хочет вам подарить что-то. Вот у вас уже есть настоящий поп-арт. Музейная коллекция. Не просто так, а большое искусство. Merci.
Перевести сможешь, что по-русски спасибо, в смысле мерси.
Да, означает спасибо.
Сокращенно спасибо.
In Russian, word спасибо comes from two words, спаси and Бог. Merci. Tell me a little bit about your family. I mean, I know that you grew up in the Catholic atmosphere in
French
upper...
provincial Catholic, which I did not like. So I rebelled against everything. France, family, religion, schooling, you name it.
How did your family take it? Your father, your mother?
Well, it's hard for them, I presume, but you know, how else can you take it? So eventually they just shipped me to America, which was one way to get rid of me, so that was good.
Is it there you met Dali, or?
Oh yeah, well, Dali couldn't come to Grenoble. I don't think he's ever been there. Yeah, I met him when I get off the boat, and I thought, wow, America is an extraordinary country.
How did you meet?
Just like that. He was on the, when I came off the boat, he was on the Le Quai, you know, on the dock.
And did he start talking to you?
Yeah, either way, I talked to him. I mean, he
Did
was
you remember?
striking and I was striking, and we just started. And he invited me for tea the same day, which I went, and then I went every day for tea. Then eventually I moved to the Hotel Saint-Régis, where he was staying in New York, and we had a long-lasting relationship. And he introduced me to the whole world, and he introduced me to art also. You know, he was a genius, phenomenal culture. He was the most funny man there is. He was a genius, and to be next to a genius is rare and captivating. So,
What do you remember about being with Dali? Any moments, anything that was...
all of it, you know, surprise. The things he would say one thing from here and one from there, and they would meet somehow. Extraordinary imagination, and people would come to ask him questions, or master, can you explain this? And he would. And then he said, I'm not a painter, which made us laugh. He said, I'm a writer. And I don't know if you know, but he's a brilliant writer.
Yes, his book.
Though he could not write, spell anything, but, you know, so, I mean, unique. It's like if you think of Proust, you know, a unique way of seeing the world. What happened is that he was, you know, kind of a clown also, which I like, and so he made many, you know, funny stuff, and the world of art sometimes did not take him seriously, which is absurd, because they don't know anything. I remember MoMA had a show of surreal art about 20 years ago, and they did not include Dali. And Dali is probably the best artist of the surreal movement. And he was so handsome also, so handsome.
He was dashing, really striking man.
He was a dandy, elegant. I mean, he just knew how to create.
He was theatrical when he
well,
came.
Theatrical, yeah. He knew how to create out of his life theater, but every minute, you know, not theater, it lasts 2 hours and then you come down and you remove your
He
makeup.
lives in it.
Yeah, extraordinary.
Is that when you got your passion for arts and acting, right?
No, probably no earlier, because in Paris I started to go to acting class. No, earlier, I mean, the reason I met all those artists is because I was drawn to art, you know. So no, my passion was as a child. As a child, I started to collect things, you know, that I could afford. Cigar box, I remember, you know, that people used to throw out. And I think that's very symbolic, because probably cigar box meant emancipation. Men are emancipated and women are not. So, you know, it was my, I guess, maybe masculine side, you know. I wanted to be free, and women are not free per definition, or especially in those years. And then I collected little print when I could. And then I remember maybe the first painting I bought was from a Spanish artist called Guixart, unknown. And then 2 years later, he got the first prize of the Sao Paulo Biennale. So I said, wow, you know.
Good taste.
no, good eye.
So, would you say that Dali became, in a way, your teacher in arts?
Not really, because I don't think I have a teacher. But I do like his sense of invention and his creativity. You know, he did not copy anybody. I don't think I copy anyone. And yeah, invention, you know. I mean, he was inspired. You know, I get ideas just like this. You know, zoom, it comes, and then I do it. I mean, there's probably different ways of getting, you know, things. You could labor, you could... I mean, no, Dali was not my teacher, though I used to draw with him, but an inspiration in the free spirit that he was, you know.
Was he a difficult person to work with and live with?
Oh, no, very...
Because often, you know, when we're thinking of geniuses, as you said, they're tricky.
No, but he was very elegant, and I don't mean dressing-wise, but elegant in his way of dealing with people, you know. Extremely polite in a way, extremely civilized, extremely, you know, he believed in monarchy, so like ceremonial rather, I would say. So no, he was not hard. No, who was rather hard and a real demon was his wife, Gala. Oh yeah, Russian.
Yeah.
Russian Jew.
Tell me about her.
Well, no, she was a pest.
She knew about you, right?
Oh, she knew about everybody, but she
was she jealous?
No, and she had boyfriend. No, but she was not happy. She was much older than him, so she was trying to hold on to. And I remember one day I brought Andy Warhol to do an interview with Dali. He did the interview with a little tape recorder, and when he finished, Gala took the little tape recorder and put it in a vase that had water and flour, so she destroyed it. You know, that's the way she was. It was a gesture, maybe it was a performance, a mean gesture. And then when people would like to buy a painting, she would say, I want cash. Fine. So they would come with a suitcase of cash, and then she would open it and throw it back at them. I mean, maybe it's a performance, maybe that's the way we should look at it.
Really? So why do you think she was acting that way? Was she feeling...
Well, I think that everybody was interested in Dali. Dali was the center of attraction, very...
And she was envious.
If it was that, or she wanted to play a role, and what role do you play? Okay, you Mrs. Dali, big deal, you know, you Mrs. whatever, big deal.
Or a model.
So, you know, trying to come to the level of maybe eccentricity of Dali, but I mean, it's poor anyway, whatever.
How did he feel about it? How did he feel?
Oh, well, no, because in a way, Dali was a genius, but genius don't know how to manage. He never knew if it was Monday, Tuesday, what day came after Thursday. I'm a bit of the same. I don't imply I'm a genius. He doesn't know did not know the difference between $100 or $5, you know, things like that. So that Gala had her feet on the ground and a calculating machine, and she kept the books. So he really needed her, you know. I say that Gala made and destroyed Dali, actually. She made and destroyed Dali. When in Caracas, when he would paint, she would come to the studio and she would say, oh, that painting No, I think like you should move the boat to the right. You know, I mean, she would dictate what he should do.
And she's not a painter.
Well,
so
yeah,
she
anyway,
seems-
she wanted, you know, to take control, I guess.
But he never thought of divorcing her.
Oh, no, that's not in his style. No. No, if you believe in monarchy, you stay married till the end. No.
Was he Catholic? Was he religious?
Oh, Catholic, that's a lot to say. Catholic, no. Religious, no. Yes and no and yes and no. The irony is that one of his paintings of the crucifixion is out of this world.
Yes, it is.
And he did not really believe. He used to say, God is the size of my cane. What does that mean? But you know, it's very strange. I met the people that wrote the opera Jesus Christ Superstar in New York. And it's a remarkable opera, I don't know if you saw it, all
Yes.
about Jesus Christ.
Yes.
And they're not believers. And it's just floored me. Because actually I've written a play called Messiah Woman, and because I'm a believer. But you don't necessarily have to believe, this is what's so strange, to do remarkably, religiously impressive work.
Right.
It's surprising.
You just have to be spiritual inside. You feel.
Probably. But I mean, my other theory is that any great artist must question God, must question the existence, the creation. When you speak of creation, it's not making a little painting, it's the big sea, the big creation, the tree I'm looking at, the sky, the cloud. So any artist that really has something in their gut has to question God. And that's why I like Warhol also, because at the end of his life, the 2 last year, he was doing religious painting, and then he did do religious painting. So you just can't avoid to do religious painting, especially in that time.
Did you meet Picasso? Because what was interesting to me is to find out that you played in his first staging of Desires Caught by Tail in Saint-Tropez with Taylor Mead.
Yeah, no, but that had nothing to do with Picasso. Then, you know,
Right.
Picasso wrote few plays, especially for these children, to amuse them. They're very weird play. No, there was a guy called Jean-Jacques Lebel. He was kind of a revolutionary in Paris and a theater guy. And he wanted to do that play in Saint-Tropez, and he just asked me to be in it. But there's no connection with Picasso. But I wanted to meet Picasso. I don't know if it's in my book, is it?
I don't know.
So anyway, I knocked on his door, and this was not too far in Valoris, it's a little town nearby. And he opened the door. I did not know he would open the door. And I saw this guy with those 2 burning bushes, and I remained like that. And I couldn't say a word. So he invited me to have tea. I didn't say a word. I was so mesmerized because he had power. He had
In
power.
his eyes.
Oh yeah, he had 2 burning bushes, yeah. And I was a great admirer. So I just had a short encounter with him. But
What do you remember about him? About
no, the
his
power.
presence?
Yeah, the power of the presence, the power of his face, the power of his eyes. And you know, that's why he did such great work, because he had a vision. You know, he could see right through walls, you know. And that cubic era, you know, was so extraordinarily of a genius, where you show a face from face and profile, and it's alive. I mean, some of his portraits are grand.
And he kept on changing all his life.
That
You know,
too.
he never stopped. That's a beautiful thing, the
And
transformation.
he was a classic artist as well, which doesn't really impress me, but anyway, it's remarkable. And what an inventor! What's interesting about him, he never really finished his painting, meaning he would do a painting very, very quickly. Oh yeah, then he went to work, so I see him working, you know, like such a velocity. And then he said, and then next. So, you know, he never really finished the painting as some painter would, the background, the color, the this, that. It's just kind of sketch, which might have color, which might be oil on canvas. But the idea is that he was never satisfied, which I think is the rightfulness of a genius. And then we do next one. I mean, the body of work that he left is unbelievable.
Amazing. Do you think he was a difficult person to live with?
Oh yeah, I think so.
You know, there's a surviving the Picasso
Yeah.
aspect.
No, I think he was a constructor and a destructor. And I think with this woman, and I happen to know one of them, and her children, I mean, he was very rude. He did not take care of the children, he didn't pay for the children, he was very stingy, I mean, in a family sense. Actually, he gave money to Dali to pay for his first trip to the United States, and that was kind of nice.
Were they friends?
I think he wanted to get rid of Dali. Friends, I don't know. Dali used to say me and Picasso, you know, me and Picasso, but probably Picasso didn't look like that. And he got rid of him.
Now, the wife that you know, what is her name?
Oh, it's Françoise Gillot. And I had dinner with her in New York recently. I wanted her to write a foreword for my book that's coming out in the spring. But she said, no, I don't do anything. She's pretty old, I think she might be 92, but in very good shape. Anyway, she didn't say so much about that, but I know a very good friend that used to be in Venice and used to know them. I mean, she was like homeless in a way, penniless, and he never took care of the children financially, you know, and even probably emotionally. Well, you know, he was about something else. I mean, when you are devoured by fire of creation, you know, those things escape you, you know. And he did say, I don't know what to do about children, but we have to do something, but he did nothing. The something was nothing.
How did you meet him? Dali introduced you to him.
Yeah, I was having tea with Dali and Warhol walked in. It's simple.
And Warhol knew Dali? They were friends with her?
Not really, but I mean, Dali, you know, Dali was universal, and Dali was interested in meeting and knowing everybody, and with Dali I met the whole world. So it was, you know, normal. I mean, and in the 60s there was a lot of communal encounter. Maybe today it's harder, I don't know. Anyway, you know, we met the whole world. Maybe there was time for leisure, which maybe today there's not as much, I don't know.
But you could see what drew people to him when you met him.
Well, no, because he had that power, you know. Listen, you are in a cocktail or in a crowd, and there's one person that comes in, and you know that that person is somebody. They have power. Very hard to describe. It didn't say power here or power there.
You just felt the aura.
Yeah, and he had power.
And the presence.
Yeah. And Warhol about the same, meaning not so much in the early days. Warhol died in 1988, I think in February, and I met him last in November, just before, and I was amazed at the power that he had acquired. You know, he was at the top of, I mean, you could, you know, it's very hard to explain because it's so abstract. But I mean, they breathe power, they have an importance, and they are important. It's not that they say, oh, you know, they raise their... Oh, once I met the Archbishop of Canterbury, and he walked like this, you know. I mean, this is not power.
This is pompous or arrogant, you know. That's
but Warhol, you could feel, it was just amazing.
So how did your friendship and relationship with Warhol started?
Oh, but no, sort of immediately. I don't know if friendship is the right word. So when I met him that day, it was in 1963, and he was unknown. He said, "You're so beautiful, let's make a movie." I said, "Fine, when? Tomorrow?" Okay. So, because I'm quick. So the next day I went to the factory, and I was pretty intrigued about the factory, you know, that silver and his work, and I bought some work immediately. And so, you know, I was intrigued. You said friendship, I don't know. I don't know that Warhol had any friendship.
Would it be love or passion? How would you describe it?
No, it's intrigue. But then I thought, you know, it's in my book again, I thought he was so unique that I wanted to seduce him to find out really who he was. So, and in the factory there was a broken down couch. I said, I can't just throw him there. So we went outside, there was a fire escape, you know a fire escape. And so I thought there I could trap him, which I did. And then he became cold and cold and cold. I said, he's probably going to pass out, or he's afraid of height, I don't know. And then I let him go because I thought he was going to pass out. He went back into the factory, the loft, and his hair was all, like, and he had a metal snap in his forehead. And I said, this guy is not quite for me. So I said, show me your painting. So that's how it started. Because, he had a toupee early on, and he probably had a gauze color skin glued to his forehead. I don't know, I can't explain it. I mean, it was probably not surgically installed in the forehead. Anyway, so it was odd from day one. But I was very intrigued about it.
Did he have relationship with women or
No,
men?
no.
Or
Oh yeah, men.
men?
Yeah. Though, though he was very, in those years, it was hard for the gay to openly admit it. So he was very non-committal on many subjects, like the war, the Vietnam War, though he did some painting.
He did the anti-racist work.
But he did the racial whatever in Chicago.
Right.
Yeah, but never took position verbally. Like he did Mao Zedong. Well, what does that mean? We don't know.
Right.
For, I guess, what? He did the sickle and the hammer, but verbally never said a word about anything. And if there was a certain image, he might represent it because it was in the collective consciousness.
Do you think that his love towards the iconic comes from his background or childhood or religious
You
aspect?
might say, but I think it comes from cleverness. Because, if you do, it's absurd, if you do portrait of famous people, there's a chance you might become famous yourself.
Like it'll rub on you.
Yeah, I mean, but he did many other things, not only portrait of famous people. No, he was interested in becoming famous, yeah, that's for sure. He succeeded. And in representing the collective consciousness, I think, which then was very clever because people recognize it immediately. If you do something that's totally abstract, that they don't know what it is, they bypass it. So his work is very understandable. And when you blow it up, it's even more visible,
Did he ever talk to you about his background, his roots?
No, he was never verbal, no. But he was kind of ashamed, quote, quote, of his roots. He used to say, the people of the world know how to eat and chew their food, so they don't show it when they chew. And they know how to speak while eating. To him, that was impossible. Either you have to eat, and when you finish, maybe you can speak, I mean, he needed varnish, if you know what I mean, social varnish, which he eventually acquired, but he was not stupid.
So he was ashamed of his roots and his background because he thought they were somewhat barbaric or not civilized to the extent.
I mean, he wanted to be famous, so he wanted to be, in Le Bottin Mondain, he wanted to climb the ladder, he wanted to be accepted everywhere.
He wanted to be American.
Yeah, and those kind of people were in the, Slovak ghetto, so he wanted to get out as really a rare phenomenon. He was a genius and he was an idiot. Idiot, yes, and I could tell you why. He was religious and he worshipped pornography. He was an angel, he was a devil, and that's true. I can describe it. He was an inventor, he was a copier. He copied everything. Campbell canned soup. I mean, anyone can copy, it's a copy. And the list is long,
Somewhat opposite from Dali, isn't it?
No, Dali was very extrovert and Warhol very introvert. The opposite, I couldn't say that, but whatever. So again, this great ambiguity. So drug, was kind of rampant, but he did not mind. That did not mean that he took it, because he was smarter. Though he did take, at some time, to lose weight, half a pill of, I forgot the name now, whatever. And I think he might have been a bit addicted to it, but too smart eventually to be on drug,
Were his looks a big issue to him?
Oh yeah, he was very ashamed of his look. He used to have a fairly big nose, like Berkeley, whatever this man, it's kind of a disease. I don't, sometimes he had a big nose. So I think he had his nose shaved somewhat. and then his skin was not perfect skin, and then his eyes, when I met him, his two eyes were not of the same color, but eventually they became of the same color, probably with lens, I don't know. I mean, again, it's like, it's the puzzlement. So, no, he was sort of ashamed of his look, and he thought he was ugly. He was not ugly, he was unusual, maybe. But I think he had a great complex of inferiority, and that's why he wanted so much to climb the ladder, to be accepted, and to be ruling. His astrological sign is lion, and that's very interesting because there's the good lion and the bad lion. The bad lion is the dictator, and the good lion is the one that can rule and has an empire or a factory, and everything goes fine, everyone. And he kind of managed, this managery, and it is very much a lion. And he had the mane of a lion also, with his wing, which was very clever, because it's in character. And yeah, I mean, he ruled in my book, and when we had the memorial, he really ruled over a certain world. I said in a different time or place, he could have been a Napoleon or a Hitler. And I just wrote a play actually called Adolf and Andy, which is about those two characters. It's amazing to see the parallel of their life at the beginning of their life, not at the end, but it's just amazing. They both wanted to be artists. In the play, Adolf comes in with a big sketch pad and he starts sketching the audience. And then Andy comes in with a big sketch pad, the same, and he starts sketching Adolf, which is on stage. and then eventually they sketch each other. And when you sketch, you go like this. So after a while he said, "You look like Adolf, Andy." And they discover who they were. So it's a big surprise, and then it goes on, and then they go into their childhood. And their family were part of the Austrian Empire. They were about 500 kilometers apart. Their family, they were both foreigners in their country. They were both the third child, and they both had previous children that died. Their father died, both of them, when they were 13 years of age, like this. I mean, the list is long. Both Catholic, both altar boy, both gay, because Adolf, but the record disappeared, had been caught with an officer, in the case of pederasty. So, I mean, it's just the parallel at the beginning, I repeat. In fact, it's a play of redemption. And at the end, Andy asks Adolf to repent and to get on his knees. I don't know if you know that work of art by Mauricio, whatever his name is, of Adolf on his knees. It was very famous. Actually, I wanted to get in touch with him to ask him if I could use that work of art, which is quite famous. Anyway, it's a play of surprise and redemption, and
this is a great idea. I love it. And do you think that his mother had a lot of influence on him or control?
In a way, control I wouldn't say, but in a way, Andy put everyone to work, and the first person that he put to work was the one next to him, which was his mother. So she did all the drawing for him, she signed for him. All the early world are done, yes, by Julia Warola, yes. And she used to paint the Easter egg, and she used to have an artistic sort of trait, a little bit eccentric, and she kept the house for him, so yeah, they had a good, I wouldn't say control, but a nice relationship. He was a mama's boy.
Что вы чувствуете?
Я это видел по телевидению.
He saw it on TV happening.
Это было, конечно, весь мир перевернулся.
He thought that the whole world was turned upside down.
Люди которые смотрели, они вначале думали, что это кадры из нового фильма «Катастрофа».
People that were watching it, they thought those were shots from a new film of catastrophe. They couldn't believe
А
it.
когда доходило,
And when they got the idea that this is really happening,
у любого человека нормального, да,
every
это все
normal
перевернуло.
person had everything turned upside down in his head at that moment.
There's an artist by the name of UltraViolet that said this was the best art performance ever, and it cost his career.
Есть художник Игор Kalinauskas, который сказал, что это была самая лучшая арт-перформанс, сделанная будь когда, и это стоило ему его карьеру. После этого не рассмотрел.
But the question is, did the American deserve this event?
Вопрос у него такой: американцы заслужили на то, что случилось?
Нет, ну это нельзя так ставить.
So you shouldn't ask him questions.
Заслужили ли люди смерть?
Do people deserve death?
Это же не солдаты.
These are not soldiers. These are simple people.
I agree. But I mean, that's what the Muslims say, that we were American arrogant, the women have been skirt, our film that we export are just atrocious, it's all about violence, so...
Она говорит, ну, мусульмане, они говорят, что американцы самолюбивые, их женщины носят мини-юбки, фильмы, которые они экспортируют, это просто жестокость и порнография.
Ну, мусульмане тоже разные.
They're different Muslims too.
Oh, no, I know.
Хотя, конечно, у них нравы сильно отличаются от европейских и американских.
Their beliefs and their system of
Я
function is so
много
different.
бывал в Средней Азии,
He spent a lot of time in the East.
учился там у мастеров,
He studied with the masters there, Sufi masters,
и это там очень бросается.
and you could see it immediately, the difference between
Особенно, что касается женщин.
especially what has to do.
Потому что когда приезжали женщины из Москвы, из Киева, из Литвы,
Because when women from Moscow, Kiev, or Lithuania
они
come
там
there,
действительно выглядели проститутками.
they look like prostitutes there,
Большинство их.
most of them, in that environment.
You mean the one coming from Russia to those countries?
To those countries.
Why do they look like prostitutes?
Почему они показались как проститутки?
Ну,
там?
потому что для мусульманской культуры, бытовой, да,
Because for them,
женщина
basic Muslim,
может открываться только своему мужчине, больше
a
никому.
woman can open only to her man, and no one else, so she's veiled.
Ну, еще есть там, конечно, есть женщины, которые зарабатывают телом, но они оформлены как танцовщицы, они
There are
танцуют.
women that also sell their body there, but they're usually dancers. You know, they're not women on the street.
Я даже несколько дней был в гостях в Ферганской долине, в мусульманском доме.
He was in the Fergan Valley in the Muslim family, was a guest there.
Вот там, где мужская половина, женская половина.
Everything there was divided in the male and
И
female.
женщины там совсем не ущемлены нам.
You didn't see that women suffered there, or they were less.
Они во многом очень независимы.
They had a lot of freedom that everyone didn't know.
Но там есть своя культура
But
отношений,
they have a different culture of relationships
своя культура быта.
and a different culture of the house.
И то, что касается частной жизни,
And what is private is private.
не выносится
Doesn't
на
get
улицу.
out on the street.
Поэтому они другие.
They're just different.
Yeah, but anyway, I propose a new political system, that the women get dressed and the men wear veiled in the 20th century.
Она говорит, но я хочу сделать пропозицию новой политической системы, что женщина будет оголена, а мужчина будет 20 веков носить вуаль.
Месть!
Месть. So that's a vengeance for them.
А это стоит там теперь?
Was it proposed as the monument for the
Yeah, well, this is the monument.
Этот
That's
памятник.
3 feet by 3 feet.
3 фута на 3 фута.
That's going to be, that is already at the National Memorial Museum. That's opening in the spring.
Он в Национальном музее 9.11, что сейчас на месте тех домов, он весной
На месте
вечером.
этого торгового
The
центра.
reason they like it is that it's non-political.
Причина, почему он понравился всем, потому что он аполитичен.
And it's just a marking of a date, marking of time.
И это только дата, время, когда это
Because no, it's interesting, you know, the Vietnam War, the French Revolution, whatever, we don't know the date, but for 9/11, you say 9/11, it's a date. And 9/11, you know 9/11 in the US, when it's the emergency,
Yes.
so there's a connection.
Это интересно то, что для французской революции и Вьетнама мы не знаем точной даты, но для этого у нас есть точная дата, и эта дата обозначает навсегда то, что случилось. И также 9.11 в Америке это
Служба
спасения.
And the Muslim people chose that date, 9/11.
И мусульмане специально выбрали эту дату 9.11.
So it was planned, I mean, it was a masterpiece of destruction.
Это было произведение полной деструкции. He really liked the Michelangelo. Понравился он очень.
Да, веселый.
He said it's really fun.
You've seen Mickey Mouse naked, you don't know what kind of sex he has.
И ты никогда не видел Микки Мауса голого.
And the real Adam by Michelangelo, you know, when the Pope saw it, he said, oh no, the sex is too big, make it smaller.
И настоящий Адам, когда Микеланджело его сделал, то Папа Римский, когда увидел его член, он сказал, нет, он очень большой, сделай его меньше.
And again, the next week the Pope went, oh no, too big still, smaller.
Через неделю вернулся опять, папа посмотрел, говорит, нет, еще меньше.
So eventually the poor Adam, the first man, has a little nut between his
Он
legs.
говорит, ну и теперь вот Адам, как бы первый мужчина, у него вместо члена маленький орешек.
So, you know, I didn't want to show that, so I had to do something else.
Но ей не нравится маленький орешек вместо члена.
I thought maybe, you know, with the leaf, the fig leaf, but anyway, too classic. I think this is more.
Потому что фиговый листочек это чрезвычайно классическое, а это более интересно.
Oh, Man Ray. Well, Man Ray photographed me, and I'd like to know where the photo is. And apparently there's 1,000 or more photo in his archive, unidentified. And I have to get back in touch with them again because it would be nice to get that photo. I met him in Caracas in Spain, and he was a funny little man, and he always had a camera on his stomach. And he looked like a comedian. I like his work. He actually covered a lot of territory in his work. And a lot of contemporary artists have copied this or that or this or that.
What was the photo? How did you model for him?
No, I didn't really model. He just photographed me on the beach in Caracas, but I was never a model. He just photographed me. And alone, and then he photographed me also with Marcel Duchamp, and he also photographed me with Dali, so there must be quite few photos. I guess that there is an archive. I mean, I have used to have the number, so I'm glad you reminded me. I'm going to.
It'll be an interesting project getting back the photos.
Yeah, but it's work, and I'm busy doing other things which maybe matters more, but whatever. I will do it. Thank you for reminding me.
You met some extraordinary people like Duchamp, Marcel Duchamp. What can you remember about the meeting and about the person?
I met Duchamp Caracas because he had a villa at Caracas. So had Dali. So had, what was his name, this great photographer? Man Ray. So had many other people there. And I liked Duchamp because he had a beautiful face. We played chess at one time with him, and he had a fine mind, but as you know, Duchamp abandoned art at one time. Why? Because, and he told me, he felt he was in a dead-end alley. You know, after you do a typewriter, an urinal, a bottle rack, I mean, this is endless, you know, the ready-made, okay, but where does it stop? And actually I keep saying that Duchamp is a catastrophe, because of him, you have all these schools, you know, a pile of dirt, a pile of wheel, a pile of goudron. I mean, it's such abuse. Maybe the first one that does it has the talent. But people would come to Duchamp and say, Master, Master, can you explain this? And we'd take some of his early work, and you say, Il m'emmerde. Are you familiar with the last piece he did?
Which one?
The last piece. Very last piece. He worked on it for 10 years in secret. Are you familiar with it?
No.
It's in Philadelphia at the museum. It's a room. For 10 years he worked on this. It's a room.
And so with the woman inside?
Yeah, there's a
Okay.
woman inside. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it. I know
In-
what you're
in
talking about.
Philadelphia?
Yes.
Okay, you give me your interpretation.
I had a very eerie feeling when I saw it. Really eerie. It felt like death to me. I don't know why.
Okay, but any other meaning besides death? I mean, death would be maybe someone on the cross. I don't know. Any meaning of that death?
It's hard for me to come up with the words now.
The title of it is Étant donné. That's very mysterious too. You know what étant donné means? It means let it be or something like that. Anyway, okay. What he told me, and I really love him for it, is that piece is in a total reversal of what he did before. All the ready-made, all the machine-made, total reversal. Okay, you look through it, there's two little holes in an old-fashioned wooden door of a barn. So you have like a feeling of voyeurism, first of all. And then what do you see? There's kind of a stable, and there's a woman lying there, naked.
With
And
the vagina.
first, no, not so
Not
much open, but I mean, you see first a
Yeah.
leg and of course the black hole. And then in her hand, remember what she has in her hand?
No, I don't.
She has a light. Aha, that's interesting. And then if you look in the background, you have a waterfall, very kitsch, a waterfall like in Chinatown, you know, saying, you have flowers, tulip, lilac, whatever flower, you have nature, you have light, waterfall, water, and nature, and a woman that maybe is sleeping or dead, I don't know. And the idea, what Duchamp told me, and very few people know this or interpret it that way, is that this was really dealing with creation, the big C. What's creation? It's a woman giving birth to a child. This is the magic of creation, which we can't comprehend yet or explain or whatever. But yet it did have nature. It had light, you know, light, what a symbol. Without light there's no universe and no plant will grow. And he had flowers, I mean, and the water, you know, the element is dealing with the element. And in a kitsch fashion, because you could just write element. And so I like this piece because it's in total reversal of what he did before, which in a way denied what he did before. And he said in French, l'échec c'est moi, meaning, you know, a total catastrophe. He admitted it.
As a person, on a personal level.
Oh, he was, well, very enigmatic, but with a very fine mind. But you know, I met him, he was not so young, and he had given up art, and he was working on that mysterious piece or room. He was friendly, he was amical, he was not as, you know, extrovert as Dali was. It was plutôt réservé, but he was, you know, pleasant.
Very pleasant. And I know that you met Chagall. At which point in your life you met him?
I met him in New York briefly. Oh, it was, you know, fairly late. I mean, I wouldn't know what year, maybe 1980. end of the 80s. And I like Chagall, though I'm not wild about his work. I think it's very Yiddish.
Eclectic,
Don't
yeah.
take it as, a, what's the word?
Anti-Semitic.
Yeah,
No,
anti-Semitic,
it's not.
please.
I understand what you're talking.
But I come from a different sensitivity, and but I like the fact that he had a certain religious preoccupation.
So you didn't spend much time?
No, I was not so intrigued. Intrigued, that's the word about Chagall. So the idea is that this is a global auto-portrait.
Это глобальный автопортрет.
It's anyone auto-portrait, everyone auto-portrait.
Это автопортрет каждого. То есть ты в этом можешь увидеть себя.
And usually I do a performance, and maybe I should do it with him.
Как правило, она делает такое как бы performance.
And the performance is, so he has to describe to me what he sees.
Расскажите, что вы
Describe his
видите.
auto-portrait.
Как вы выглядите? Ваш автопортрет.
Нормально.
Said, I'm looking okay.
Okay, I want more,
Она хочет большего.
Can you describe his soul?
Можете ли вы увидеть вашу душу?
Ну, я ее могу увидеть, но не здесь, а
He can see the soul, but not there, but in the space in general.
Okay, can you describe his soul in the space in general?
Объясните вашу душу в пространстве, как вы ее видите.
я не знаю, как перевести. В
Скажите,
старом русском языке было такие два слова: чувствилище и вместилище.
in ancient Russian language, there were two words that would describe it the best. Now they're no longer used, but I'll try to find the equivalent. So one is the place of feeling, of overall feeling, and the second word would be the place that holds everything inside.
Душа – это как бы вместилище, пространство того, куда вся информация, которая разнообразными способами попадает в человека, она там концентрируется.
So the soul is a place that holds all the information that surrounds us inside. And it's
Вместе с
concentrated
энергией.
there. And it's concentrated inside together with the energy of the universe.
И она же является чувствилищем, то есть тем, что предназначено для принятия решений. Не это место предназначено, а это предназначено для принятия решений. Потому что она взаимодействует, у каждого свой объем, но с пространством.
And on the other hand, this place, the soul, is not only the place that contains the information of the universe, but also the place of the feeling. And this place is where the decisions are made from. The decisions are not made from here, they're made from here. And this place interacts with the surrounding.
Tell him I know all about the power of feeling.
Она хочет вам сказать, что она знает все о силе чувства.
Feeling have greater power than thoughts.
Чувства имеют больше силы, чем мысли.
Но я не знаю, что именно она называет чувством.
What exactly do you call feeling?
Well,
Но сила души
But the power of the soul
неизмеримо больше, чем вообще все, что мы знаем о себе.
is bigger and cannot be even calculated. Is bigger than anything that we know about the power.
oh yeah, no, I agree.
The strength, the power of the soul is even bigger than what we know about the power as the word.
But I know about it. Okay, next
know
question. Which of those self-portrait or auto-portrait or selfie, or does he know what selfie is?
Вы знаете, что такое селфи?
Нет.
Ah, So it's all the kids with a cell phone that take a self-picture.
Это все дети с селфонами, которые берут фотографию самого себя.
So I like him to look and tell me which one he likes best.
Она хочет, чтобы вы выбрали, который вам нравится наибольше из них. Вот из этих.
Oh, why?
Почему?
Я люблю этот цвет.
He loves that color.
Oh, he does. I know it's the highest vibratory color.
Это высший вибраторный цвет. Вибраторный цвет.
Фиолет.
Yes.
And tell him that's why my name is UltraViolet.
Это потому ее звать UltraViolet.
Okay. And then I'll introduce him. What's his name again?
Igor.
Igor.
And the last name is Kalinauskas.
Just Igor. And then
Yeah,
you can
Igor.
see his name. You can see.
Она хочет, сейчас будет национальное телевидение Франции, брать у нее люди на интервью. Она хочет вас представить национальному телевидению
We
Франции
can
как
try to have a
партнера
dialogue.
и иметь немножко диалог на камере, если вы не против.
Хорошо. Oh, why?
Почему?
Я люблю этот цвет.
He loves that color.
Oh, he does. I know it's the highest vibratory color. Okay. And then I'll introduce him.
Я думаю, что
Together with
это
UltraViolet.
будет
I
здорово.
want to know where he works now or where is he based.
Где ваша база? То есть где вы сейчас находитесь и откуда вы работаете над своим проектом?
Киев, Литва, Братислава
Москва.
и Москва еще.
Moscow, Kiev, Bratislava, and Lithuania. Vilnius.
Bratislava, I know you there.
But he has studios in all these cities, so he works and travels. Plus, they have concerts and shows outside.
He embellished it.
With
It's resounded. It's amazing.
Merci.
Je voulais vous présenter un artiste russe qui est mon joueur. Un travail comme il travaille en anglais. Alors je
But she is a soldier. She's a fighter.
pense que